Welcome back to Engine Craft Garage. Today we have a Troy-Bilt 850EX power washer. Customer dropped it off. He said that it is not starting. And this is a ready start system. Usually these are pretty good about always starting. He said when he does spray it with ether, it'll start for a second and then it'll die. So it's probably some fuel delivery issues. You know the deal. We're going to break into it. Look for spark. Make sure everything's all good there. And then look into the carburetor. Give that a good clean. See if that fixes the issue. And then essentially we're just going to go from there. Alrighty. First things first is let's pop this air cleaner off. Take a look at this. Filter doesn't look too bad. Usually when they start going bad, they start breaking apart. There is quite a bit of oil in this, so I might give it a good clean. Looks like we got a couple of nuts here. Let's get my drill and pop those off. This is just a little breather. All right. I believe this is 8 mil, yep. That came right off. This connects to the on-off switch. We're just going to keep that here. Fuel line, I'm going to have to pinch this off to prevent it from leaking all the fuel out. He said he just filled it up, so definitely don't want that leaking all over. Looks like star bits in there. Got a few connections here. Another air inlet there. All right. Doesn't look too bad. Over a quick glance, but we're going to get this off, clean this whole thing up. So let's pinch this fuel line off. Now, I ordered from Amazon these fuel pliers that are soft and essentially are meant to pinch off these fuel lines. You can do it with a vice grips, but you know, sometimes you can get some leaks because you break the lines or put holes in them, rather. There we go. All right, let's get some pliers to pop that line off. This a little twist. All right, now in the side here, we got Torx. See what size they are. Too big. Try a T30. T30 looks like it fits. Definitely gonna have to get an extension though. And 2. let's see what's connected on here. Take that plate off. Take that off. This little fuel rod. Some of these are not easy to take off, and these are all plastic, and you bend it one wrong way, and guess what? It's broken. So just got to be a little careful with it. Well, how are you on here? There we go. All right, here it is. It doesn't really look too bad, but we're gonna break it open and take a quick look at what's inside. All right, pop this fuel ball off. It's not too bad. So there's the problem. The needle is stuck in the seat, which was causing fuel to not flow. So I don't really want to yank this out of here. I have to figure out a way. See here, this is stuck. Can't get that needle out. This is a plastic float. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to, I wonder if I can use some compressed air and blow in here to kind of blow it out. But we're gonna get some PB Blaster in there and see if I can break apart some of this corrosion here. There we go. Let that work in there. Really don't want to break this float. So we're going to do what we can to try to get this out. I have a small screwdriver. We're going to put this whole thing in the ultrasonic, so kind of want to get I want to get the seal off, but it's kind of stuck on there. There we go. There we go. Right, let's keep trying to work at this. Let's see if I can get underneath it like this. Go a little bit higher. Not much, though. There we go. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know if you can see it, but look at all that corrosion on there. That's the reason it wasn't working. So let's go. Yeah, there's a bunch of corrosion in there as well. I know you guys can't really see in there, but doesn't look good. So let's go get this in the ultrasonic, let it cook for about, I don't know, 15 minutes. A bunch of corrosion on the main jet too. You can see there. This definitely needs a clean. Let's actually go poke these jets through first. This little guy here. Tiny one, and just kind of making sure everything's clean. Yeah, this is pretty corroded. All right, got that out. Now I'm gonna drop all this stuff in the ultrasonic. Let me go get some stuff. Seen some other YouTube videos, and I've seen people using the ultrasonic and using these little T-balls, and thought that is a fantastic idea. So I bought some. They were like $6. You can't beat the price on that. Let's get that closed. All right, let's bring this all over to the ultrasonic. This whole guy in there. Just like that. There we go. Drop this in there. Float and the bowl. All right, time to soak. There we go. All right, let's get this out of here after it's been done cooking. Get this back over to the bench. All right, let's see what we got here. This looks pretty good. This foam always disintegrates in here. We'll blow this off with some compressed air. All right, that's blown off. It looks brand new. Let's wipe this bowl out. Bowl also looks great. Float. See how the jets look. Blow through this with compressed air just to make sure that all of that corrosion that was on this is now gone. All right. You can see here the needle cleaned up really well too. Spring action works great. Looks really good. So let's start getting this back together. Put our gasket back on. Slide our needle in there. Back in the seat, we'll see how this works or how this functions. Excuse me. See how this functions now that this is all cleaned up. There we go. Looks about right. All right. The last part is here's our gasket for here. Bowl. Gasket goes on the main jet. Tighten her down. All right, and then we perform the tests that we always perform. Get a piece of tubing. First, we're going to do the air test, blow through. No problems. Upside down. Nothing coming through. All right, then we get some fuel in there, fill up this bowl, and do a leak test. Gonna drain a few times. Now, when I do this test and I blow on it to replicate like a couple PSI, you are going to blow a little bit of this fuel into here because you're forcing it in, but then it should stop. This is just to check to see to make sure that the float bowl isn't leaking anywhere. So let's give it a quick blow. Fuel level dropped a little bit, but there's no leaks. So I think it's time to put this back on. All right, so first thing we got to do here is reconnect this one here. This was the difficult one to get off, which went back together no problem. We got this one back here. Slide that guy in. And then we got this plate. It goes in between. So we're going to get that together. Let's just kind of run these screws in just to hold this in place while we get everything else connected. The spring went over and connected this little hole right next to it. There we go. All right, let's get this other spring in. All right, I think we're good there. All right. We bring this back on. Sure that wiring's tucked in there. Sure this hose is connected, secured. Screws back in. Here. Here. Swap this. There's a hose back here. We got to make sure that that stays connected. There we go. All right, and then we just got to put our vent hose on. Crank that back in. I am going to clean out this air filter. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to soak it in some heavy-duty degreaser. And then dry it off. This thing is pretty... All right, all I did to clean the air filter was I soaked it in degreaser, rinsed it out, and then I went through a few paper towels drying it off. Get this back over here. All right. Last step is to hook up the fuel line, which I should have done in the first place. Let's remove this cover again really quick. Kind of forgot about it. Slide this line over, which is going to prove to be more difficult since it's all the way over here. There we go. Perfect. Get the vise off. Should be flowing. How much fuel does it got in here? Oh, completely full. All right, so that should be feeding the carburetor. All right, let's get this hooked up to the hose and see how good this works. And just for a note, if you guys are working on power washers, Never start these unless they're hooked up to the hose. Those pumps will burn out really fast. So just a little precaution. All right, let's get my hose hooked up. Power washer hose hooked up. Let's put a 40-degree tip on. And turn the water on. All right, let's see how many pulls this takes. Oh, probably should turn it on. Grab the wrong tip. It's a soap one. Swap those around. Let's turn it off. Give it a restart. On. Pull. No problems. Good as new. Well, that does it for the power washer. This is probably going to be a pretty quick video, but she's all done. I'm just going to give it a quick wipe down, and then we should be all set. I'm going to call the customer and let them know that it's ready to be picked up. I appreciate you guys watching another video. Next week or week after, we'll probably have something new, so be sure to be on the lookout.